In the summer of 1940, in the skies above England, one of the most innovative battles of the 20th century was fought. Never before had a battle been fought entirely in the air, independent of ground forces, and never before had the Nazi war machine been denied a victory. Winston Churchill would call it their finest hour. It was what would become known as the Battle of Britain. But how is it that one of the world's most fierce air forces, the Luftwaffe, which was to be Germany's Iron Roof, finally met its match over the skies of England?
Dort ein Sowjetjäger. Das Bodenpersonal verfolgt gespannt den Kampf. Kondensstreifen zeigen den Weg der Maschinen.
In the years before the outbreak of war, Hitler and his political allies succeeded in building a versatile tactical air force that fought in deadly cohesion with the German ground forces. When Hitler attacked Poland in early September of 1939, the Luftwaffe proved to be a deadly tool. Bombers targeted airfields. The Poles could provide little air cover to their troops, and as a result, entire battalions were wiped out by German close air support. The army only had to roll over what was left. An entirely unprepared Poland watched as most of its aircraft were obliterated on the ground. The few that did manage to take off faced superior fighters in superior numbers. It was a slaughter. Hitler's blitzkrieg worked on France as well, and by the end of June, the Nazis had total control of the country. The next target was England. With victory over the British Isles, Germany would have a stranglehold over all of Western Europe. Hitler wanted to attack the south coast of Britain with amphibious landing craft, backed up by inland airborne assault troops. German commanders knew that once their forces landed, the British Navy would easily be able to sail from bases along the coast and wreak havoc on the landing forces. Furthermore, the RAF would be able to dispatch aircraft which could obliterate German forces as they came ashore. So, Hitler planned to rely on the Luftwaffe to take out British aircraft and naval stations, clearing the way for the invasion of England, codenamed Operation Sea Lion. A large conflict had never before been decided by air power alone. Hitler had ordered his Luftwaffe to prevent all air attacks, engage approaching naval vessels, destroy coastal defenses, break the initial resistance of enemy land forces, and annihilate reserves behind the front. A daunting task. The stage was set. The largest air battle of the war was about to take place. Many people who had never even dreamed of seeing combat were about to have it land, literally, on their front doorstep. As Winston Churchill said to the House of Commons on the 18th of June, 1940, "The Battle of France is over. I expect the Battle of Britain is about to begin." And indeed it was. On the 10th of July, German bombers began to raid coastal cities, targeting naval and maritime installations. In the month of July, roughly 40,000 tons of cargo was lost. The Royal Navy, however, remained very much intact. The Battle of Britain essentially can be split into 5 phases. The first phase, which started on July 10th, was the Channel Battle, where the Luftwaffe targeted naval and shipping convoys rather unsuccessfully. The second phase would be what the Germans would call Operation Eagle, which was the classic fighting in the Battle of Britain. It would be what you would imagine if you were to imagine a dogfight. The third phase was the attack on British air bases, where the Luftwaffe bombed and strafed the air bases in an attempt to destroy the airplanes and personnel on the ground. And this was actually the most costly phase for the British in terms of fighters lost. The next phase would be the Battle of London, where the Germans mounted increasingly costly daylight raids on the industrial targets in London. And when these raids became too costly, when they had lost too many people, they pulled back, and the fifth phase, known as the Blitz, was the nighttime bombing of London, which was very destructive but strategically ineffective, and that's where a lot of the civilian casualties came from. Thousands of airplanes participated in the battle. However, the fast single-seat fighters were what actually did most of the fighting.
Ein englischer Flughafen. Bombenschächte auf. Im freien Wurf sausen die Bomben in die Tiefe.
Germany's primary fighter aircraft was the Messerschmitt Bf 109, a versatile single-engine fighter. The Bf 109 could deliver a deadly blow with its 3 7.9mm machine guns and its one 20mm cannon. Another major advantage was the 109's ability to perform negative G maneuvers. Whereas other airplane engines would cut out when the plane entered a steep dive, the Bf 109's fuel-injected engine could handle the negative G's experienced during a steep dive. Only slightly slower than the fighters fielded by the British, the Bf 109 was a good match for the deadly dogfights that would decide the Battle of Britain. The British primarily used 2 fighter aircraft during the Battle of Britain, the most famous of which was the Supermarine Spitfire. The Spitfire, with its 8 separate .303 caliber wing-mounted machine guns, slightly outgunned the Bf 109. The Spitfire was the most maneuverable aircraft deployed by the Allies in 1940. It was extremely effective in aerial combat. In the end, the Messerschmitt Bf 109 and the Supermarine Spitfire were evenly matched fighters, each with its strengths and weaknesses. Why was it then that the Germans lost the Battle of Britain? The British Fighter Command had developed a highly effective network of radar installations and could see and counter German offensive actions. Furthermore, the British outpaced the Germans in producing aircraft, and each time an RAF pilot bailed out, he was directly over home soil. Most German pilots were captured if they landed in England or drowned if they landed in the Channel. In most critical days of the battle, when the Germans were attacking the airfields, the British were losing much more fighters than the Germans. However, partially due to Hitler's impatience, and partially due to his unwillingness to win at such a high cost, the Luftwaffe ended the Battle of Britain in the fall of 1940.